We're all set. So welcome to Free Zoom with Simone Milasas in French and English.
Awesome, because my French is not good. Although I can say, je m'appelle Simone. And there you go. And that's about it. So now the interesting thing is this Zoom was called Creating from Nothing. And I was like, that's funny, because that's a topic that the Polish asked for. And it's a topic that the Polish asked for and is very applicable for them. And it's like, but I was like, that's not the French. The French don't think that creating from nothing. The French think they have everything. And it's like, so the first thing I would like to talk about too is, I mean, you know, I'm coming there for Choice of Possibilities to Lyon, and also, I don't know, I must love the French, because I'm also going to Mauritius, and I'm actually going to Noumea at the end of the year as well. So there's lots of places that I'm going to with French. But here's the thing that I would like you guys to have a look at, because the French don't think they have a problem. The French generally think they have everything. So what I'm asking is, if you had a choice, what else would you choose? Now, it's interesting because you've got those Eastern Bloc countries who they're always seeking something and reaching for something more, because they've all, you know, there's a lot of war-torn places, and, you know, the poverty or the struggle of coming out of communistic ruling, etc. So they do think that they are creating from nothing, right? So now that can lock you up just as much as you thinking that you have everything and you don't require anything else. Now, Australia has the exact same sort of stuff going on. Australia has that point of view of like, you know, everything's fine. You know, we don't need anything else. It's like, we've got the sun, we've got the surf. It's like, you know, I mean, the slogan of Australia in Queensland is beautiful one day and perfect the next. And that's literally how Australians function. So, but that can lock you up just as much, because if you think that you've got everything that you can have, then where is there room for something else? Where is there a space for a different possibility? So I wanted to talk a little bit about choice here, obviously, because we've got Choice of Possibilities coming up, and having a look at the areas that maybe if you were willing to have more choice in some areas, it's like, what would you choose? Because how many of you are trying to choose what makes you fit into this reality, or what makes you fit into the French reality? I mean, you know, I'm not saying anything new here when the whole world talks about and says that the French are arrogant. And it's like, but you know what? I go to France and I'm like, yeah, they should be arrogant. They've got great wine. They've got great food. They've got, you know, they've got, their language is sexy as hell. And it's like, you've got all of these things going for you. And it's like, so when this reality ticks off all those boxes for you, where does it invite you to another choice? I'm just going to turn off my Slack so it's not going to be making noise the whole time. Turn off. Okay. And so if society in this reality is saying you've got the best of it, what if there was something beyond that? What if there was something beyond what you currently have? And what if you're incredibly grateful for what it is that you have in your life right now, of where you've chosen to live, whether it's, you know, living on the beach in Mauritius, or it's living in Paris, or it's living in Lyon, which I absolutely love. I went there not long ago. It's beautiful. And what if there was something else available? Because the potency that you have is in choosing something greater and asking for something greater. Now, I've been playing with this recently of what realities would I like to create? Because so many times we define our reality as this one reality, rather than what I would like you to start having a look at is, what would you like your reality to be with money? So you start to have a look at what that reality is, and then look at what action you need to take to create that. Then have a look at what you would like your reality to be with business. And then ask, what action can you take? What would you like your reality to be with your body? What would you like your reality to be with relationship? What would you like your reality to be with sex? And it's like all of these things that this reality says that maybe you're ticking a box because you're French. What if you could actually choose a completely different reality? And it's like, what would that be? Because creation, whatever you desire to create, creation is the choice that you make. And the actualization is bringing it into existence. So you have to take action. You have to get off your butt and take action and choose whatever it is that you would like to choose, no matter how different it is. I mean, how many of you sort of, fit into this middle realm? You know, you're not supposed to be too poor. You're not supposed to be too rich. You're not supposed to be, too unhappy. You're not supposed to be too ecstatic and over the moon. And it's like, you're supposed to just fit in here and have that normal, average, and real. Gary did a great process today about that. Let me see if I can remember it. I'm just going to go straight into this process if I can remember. What have you made so vital, valuable, and real? Do you have that, Francesca? What have you made so vital, valuable, and real about being normal, average, and real, and the same as everyone else, that keeps you from choosing your reality? And everything at that is times a godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it. Wow. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So what have you made so vital, valuable, and real about being normal, average, and real, and the same as everyone else, that keeps you from choosing your reality? And everything at that is times a godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Because how many of you define your life? You define your choices. You define your reality, rather than actually ask, what is it that you would like to have as your reality? Okay, so let me see. Oh, it's the same. I did remember it. Yay, Francesca just sent it to me. I'm good. Got the memory. Excellent. So, and it's not about going to the answer, and it's definitely not about looking for a result. So if you're asking for something to show up, and whatever that is in your life, it's not about looking for a result. It's actually about asking questions with no conclusions and seeing what else can show up. So how many conclusions have you made that keeps you from choosing your awareness that will set you free? Because what are you aware of? And everything at that is times a godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So let's do this. I'm in Istanbul, Turkey, so you guys can't get to me if I'm offending you. But all the definitions you have of being French, French speaking, where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. That was a little bit of a no, is what I got. So all the definitions you have of being French and French speaking, where you destroy and uncreate it, times a godzillion, it'll set you free. You can keep it if you want, but it may set you free. And the thing is, you can use your beautiful, amazing, sexy, wonderful French accent to your advantage to create something greater. Yet if you define yourself by that, then you've just limited yourself straight away. So everything that that is times the godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Because every choice you make from a point of view is a definition that you're using to limit you. So every single time you make a choice and you choose a reality, you make a choice, but you do it from a point of view, you're defining you, and you're using it to limit you. So every one of those definitions you're using will limit you. So right now, would you be willing to give up all the definitions you have of being French, all the definitions you have of what it is to, live in a French-speaking country, and everything that comes with that, and all the projections, expectations, the separations, the judgments, and everything that is times a godzillion, where you destroy and uncreate it, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. I just realized, is there anyone on this call that has done no access? If not, if there is, then you need to speak to one of your French facilitators. So what choices do you have that you haven't been willing to acknowledge? Like, what would you like to create? I mean, I was just talking to Francesca here. We just finished COP, Choice of Possibilities, in Istanbul, Turkey, with Gary, and we could hear Emily talking. And, we're off to Dublin next week for the relationship class, which I'm super excited about, because Gary and Dane in this relationship class, oh my God, it's going to be off the charts. And we were looking at what we've created in the last year. And it's like, what are we going to create this year? Like, what else is available? Have you acknowledged what you have created? Have you acknowledged all the great choices that you've made? Because every single time you go to the judgment of you, you go to the less than of you, you go to the doubt of you, you limit you. Is that what you desire? Or do you want to just be like, woo, off the charts, let's go. What else is possible? Like, really, let's even offend the French. The French offend the French for being so off the charts. And everything of that is times the Godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. So again, it's like, what choices do you have you've not been willing to acknowledge? What if every choice was available and you just haven't been willing to acknowledge it? And everything at that is times a Godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. So if you're looking at the realities that you would like to create, and it's like, so what reality of possibilities is available? Like, have you ever chosen anything and it's ended up, worse than it was the day before? Whether it's like a job, a business, a relationship, or, whatever that is, or your moved house or something, and it's ended up worse. Or has it always ended up greater, but you didn't know what it was going to look like? It wasn't, mapped out for you. So would you be willing in 2019, which by the way, I have nicknamed the year of joy, would you be willing with 2019, the year of joy, to jump off that cliff and leap into the reality of possibilities and find out what the hell that looks like? And everything at that is times a Godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. So what reality do you have beyond this reality that you've never instituted because you were never given permission to do so? And would you now give yourself permission to do so? And everything at that is right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. I really want you guys to take a moment, like whether it's now or after the call, if you listen to this Zoom again, to start to look at what it is that you would like to create. I mean, I was recently, I was in Texas and I went to Gary and Dane's ranch in Texas, and they were generous enough to allow me to go stay there for a night. And I was literally on their ranch on my own because even the guy who ran the ranch was away. And then the second guy that was there was off at some guy's house for dinner. So it's so quiet and yet it's so noisy because you've got all these horses and you've got the cows and you've got all the animals, etc. And I'm in their ranch house and, drinking a glass of wine. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. It was so awesome to be at this ranch and have that space. And the next day, when I was leaving to go back to Houston, I immediately went, oh, I need to make more money. I need to make more money so I can buy stuff like ranches. And then I went, okay, how many times do you go to, you need more money, rather than what are you actually truly asking for? So instead, on the drive back, I was like playing with this energy and going, okay, so what am I actually asking for? And it was like, oh, I'm asking to create the availability of that sense of peace that you can have on planet Earth, that availability to have that communion with animals and to have that, because I don't know about you, but when you're around animals like that, it's like you have such a presence of you and there's such a lack of judgment that goes with it. I mean, the horses aren't going, really? You wore that today? It's like, they're just like, yeah, go on, pat me. Yeah, can you scratch my neck? Yeah, that feels awesome. And it's like, so what if I was actually not asking for the amount of money to show up, but what is my true ask? What is my ask here that I would like to show up? And then what I found over the years is whatever I'm asking for, when it shows up, and then the money follows it. Like Dane said many, many years ago, money follows joy. Joy doesn't follow money. So look at your realities you would like to create and don't make it about a how, because a how is a judgment. It's like, okay, so, what would you like your business to be? What amount of money would you like to make? But what amount of changes would you like to create? What would you like your relationships to be? What about your sex life? And it's like, I'm sure we can all amp that up, can't we? Or have you all got it down? No, we've got it perfect. If you think your sex life is perfect, then you should destroy and uncreate that and ask for something greater to show up. Everything at that is times a gazillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, ordained, shorts, boys and beyonds. Because the thing is, if you define what you're asking for and you're asking for the realities, it will create complicated realities. So what definitions are you using to create the complicated realities you are choosing? And everything at that is times the godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. I'm so grateful for you guys. How does it get any better than this? So do you guys have any questions so far?
There were a couple people that had their hand up on Zoom earlier, but now that they're lowered. So I'm not sure if you still have questions. But if you guys do, you can unmute and ask.
Hey, Simone, how you doing? Paul here.
I'm good, Paul. So you don't sound very French, Paul.
Ah, come on, Simone.
Can you put an accent on for us or something?
My mother is a French teacher.
You sound more like a leprechaun.
Yes, yeah. I'm working on it. Well, one thing that's coming up for me, it's interesting when you were talking, and it is joie de vie, which is obviously a joy of living, which is famous worldwide for France, and it's kind of. I was in France last year, and it was. I was like. My sense was they've lost that, but they had it before, because like I was running down the Champs-Elysees at like, I don't know, 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning. There was just so much beautiful elegance, everything there. And I was like, my God, this must have been the most incredible empire on the planet. And it's like, where is that joy gone, or what's possible there? Yeah, it was something that really just struck me. Yeah, because like obviously joy de vie must have had a lot of it at one stage. Yeah.
But interesting too. I mean, as you say that, it's like, I mean, I'm in Istanbul, Turkey, and I have a really beautiful view of, the Bosphorus, and you can, I mean, there's buildings here from the Ottoman Empire, etc. And then in Australia, I can see the places where people have become so complacent that they're not acknowledging what they have around them. I mean, in America, let's not talk about America. It's like, I mean, Gary was saying today, it's like with Trump in, nobody trusts America anymore. And it's like, is that good or bad? Well, actually, it's good, because then people are actually having to look at themselves and not rely on America. And it's like, so what if, like, you see this across the planet? I get that it's not just, the French. It's like everyone. It's like, what if we could? So, okay, let's do something. Thank you, Paul. And it's like, what if we all together asked to create a reality of that joy of living? What if we asked for that? And you have no idea how this is going to show up or what it's going to look like. But what if we all started to ask for that joy of living? I mean, I've seen photos of Brendan at the moment is in China, and he's doing a choice of possibilities class. And, oh, man, it's like, I mean, you see these photos of them, of the Chinese doing this ESC, almost makes me want to cry. And the sense of relaxation in their world that they don't really have as a general choice, and they have that. And there's about 10 people from Access who have gone there who have contributed to that, and I'm very grateful for it. You can see it, you can perceive the energy of what that is. So what if right now we all demanded that the reality, one of the realities, because this is the thing, it's not just one reality that you choose many realities. And what if one of the realities we chose was to perceive, know, be, and receive the joy of living, and be that, no matter what it takes. So, Paul, you're running down, I'm going to butcher that name, but the Champs-Elysees. I always butcher it. Is that okay? And it's like, oh, with all the French, oh my God. And it's like, but if you're running down there and you embrace that energy of what was, so that it can be again. And be not the same as what it was, but be created as even something greater. And everything that doesn't allow that to show up, can we destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. I mean, what if we started to show, what if one of the realities we were asking for is to show people the beauty of the world? Would you be willing to be that invitation? So what if the choice of possibilities is also not just about you, it's about the world. It's about the energy that you be can be that invitation to everybody. So everything that is, times of Godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. And what energy, space and consciousness can you and your bodies be that would allow us to exude and embrace the energy of joy of living for all eternity. And everything that is, times of Godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. I mean, do you get that you have that potency? Because one of the things, you have a point of view, right? And your point of view might be, I'm less than, or you start to judge you, or I'm not as good as anyone else. Do you get how much potency there is in that point of view? Like your point of view actually has a potency. So what if your point of view was no longer about judgment, was no longer about conclusions, was no longer about limitations? And what if your point of view was something like this? I will wake up tomorrow and I will be the joy of living. No matter what it takes and no matter what it looks like, no matter who's around me and no matter what they're choosing, I will make that choice. And everything that doesn't allow that to show up, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. Because one of the things we talk about in Access Consciousness is that you're an infinite being. And an infinite being can perceive, know, be, and receive. And as an infinite being, you have total choice. And as you choose to be more conscious and as you choose more of you, you will change this reality. So everything that is, times of Godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. And start asking, what are you capable of that nobody else is, that you're not choosing yet? Because every single one of you have capacities beyond this reality. You get that, right? You know that. I mean, you had it as a kid. You were like, woo! As a kid, you were like, yeah, willing to do anything. And then at what age did you decide, oh, better be the same as everybody else? Better be normal, better be average, better be the same, better fit in, rather than actually ask, so what are you capable of that nobody else is, that you're not choosing yet? And what if you made the demand of you and the request of the universe that you choose that today? Yes. Are you willing? We? Everything that is times transiting, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. Because every single choice you make creates something. Every single choice you make creates something. Every single choice you make creates something. So what are you creating that you're not even aware of? I mean, have you acknowledged that today? What if you just acknowledged what you've created today? I mean, it was interesting. I was on a flight from two wonderful friends of ours, Percy and Yaku, who some of you guys know, got married in New Zealand recently. And I was on a flight from Christchurch to Brisbane, and I was hungover, to say the least. And I'm on the flight in the morning. It was a good wedding. I discovered gin, and and I'm on the plane, and I'm in business class, so I'm in row 3, and everyone's getting on the plane, and there's this steward who gets on, and every single person he acknowledged, whether because he looks at their ticket, whether he said hello and mentioned their name, or if they were Japanese. He had a few Japanese, sentences that he would say, and he would say those Japanese sentences, and they would laugh and giggle, or, he would make some joke. He would acknowledge every single person. He was at the top of the plane, and by the time they got to row 3, every single person, I'm not kidding, I watched every person get on that plane, had a smile on their face. And I was like, wow, that guy, he has no idea the gift he is on this planet. That every single person on that plane, we lifted off in New Zealand, and every single person had a smile on their face and were happy. What if you could be that? And what action would you need to take today to create that? I mean, what even if you're getting in a hotel and it's like every time you get in the elevator, you smile at someone, you acknowledge someone, every single person. That would be the joy of living. That would invite something different. So what I'm going to ask you, all you guys, I love the way these Zooms, because you never know where they're going to go. So I'm going to ask you to tap into all of the energy, and thank you, Paul, for your question about that too, is tap into all the joy of living that you've known in any lifetime, no matter what it looked like and no matter what it showed up as. Okay. And you're not going to have a definition of it. You're not going to have a conclusion of it. It's not going to be definitive. But you can tap into that energy of joy living. Oh, you know what? We're going to add the energy of orgasm. Okay. I want you to pull the energy of orgasm through your whole entire body, whether you had one 5 minutes ago, which would have been while we were on the call. That's impressive. Or this morning or last night or another lifetime, if you can't remember what it's like, and pull that energy of orgasm through your entire body. Joy of living and the energy of orgasm. More. You're French, you can do it. And Paul's going to be a leprechaun and show you as well. Okay. And we've got a South African here, I can see. Okay, so pull that energy into the entirety of your body and into the entirety of the realities that you're asking for, the joy of living and that energy of orgasm. And let's ask to be that. Demand of you and request of the universe, no matter what it takes, to be that energy. Okay? And let's do a 4 for more, and then an 8. Okay, so we're going to put our hands up. I think you guys all know what I'm doing here, but 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then let's do a couple of 13s, and 13s is about changing tracks. Okay, so it's not about asking for something better. It's literally changing tracks. So let's change tracks so that we be that walking, talking, orgasmic joy of living energy, no matter what it takes and no matter what it looks like on 13. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 11, 12, 13. 13, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13. I love it. How does it get any better than that? Cool, thank you. So is there any other questions?
There is a question in the chat, Simone, in English, from Cecile. She said, maybe we put a rooftop above our heads because of the French Revolution and the decapitation of king. Can we destroy or create everything that brings up?
Say that one more time, sorry.
Maybe we put a rooftop above our heads because of the French Revolution and the decapitation of king. Can we destroy and create everything that brings up? Is that from Cecile, from Tahiti?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's like, okay, so wherever you've chosen to live in this lifetime too, it's like, what if you didn't take on the history as part of your, I would call it like the ball and chain. You know, like the saying of ball and chain, something you're carrying around. What if you gave up carrying around the burden of the history of where you're from and allowed yourself to create a future beyond this reality? And everything it doesn't allow that to show up, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. I mean, it's interesting. It's like, you know, I went to Russia recently, well, last year now, you can say last year, and did a COP. And there is still so much of the energy of all of the, you know, if you get it wrong, then you're going to be in trouble. You might get on Stalin's list. You know, don't get it wrong. So there's this energy of don't get it wrong. You better not say anything. So it's better to be quiet than actually say something because you might get it wrong. And it's like every single country has some sort of history. So let's do something. All the history that has kept you, excuse me, that has kept you captured in the past, rather than knowing you have the ability to create the future and a future beyond this reality where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. Cool. Is there, you know, I'm going to read Hang on. No, I won't read that. Okay, so is there any other questions? If not, I've got a couple of processes. So let's do this. Actually, I have this process, Maggie, so I will help you out here.
Thank you.
I'm going to put it in the, sorry, I'm just trying to help out here in the chat. So what jails are you using to create the dominance of E equals MC squared as the purpose of life is to get it right more than to create a different reality that would actualize as a world of infinite possibilities are you choosing? And everything at that is times a Godzillion we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. So what jails are you using to create the dominance of E equals MC squared, which is evil, which evil is basically anti-consciousness and unconsciousness, equals MC squared, which is the mediocrity, corruption squared, as the purpose of life is to get it right more than to create a different reality that would actualize as a world of infinite possibilities are you choosing? And everything at that is times a Godzillion we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. And Julia is asking me, am I aware of the strike in France for more than a month now? No, I'm not. What are they striking for? Who's striking? Does it mean anything?
Okay. I didn't really truly follow because I was not in France. But what happened, it's the yellow jackets, because they all wear yellow jackets because of the president, because he raised the price for the petrol. So everyone is very, very angry about this. So it's like they break everything in Paris. I mean, I'm not there, so I cannot tell. Maybe someone who's in France can speak about it. But
well,
yeah.
So what if it wasn't about, okay, that's so funny. I'm just going to put this in there too. Because what if you're in allowance of what is occurring and what energy, space and consciousness can you be to contribute to the changes that are required? Like that's what I'm talking about with that orgasmic energy of the joy of living. Because if you buy into what people are striking for, it's like ask every day. It's like, okay, so what can I contribute to this? Now, contribute to it might be something completely different. Like I remember I was doing foundation class with Brendan Watt in Noosa, Australia, the day that Trump got in. And it was in the afternoon in Australia, and it came through that Trump was elected president. And we literally sat there going, holy shit, the Americans did it. They elected Trump. And it was like, they really did it. And I was in shock. And yet I turned around to Brendan and went, there's a lightness to it. There's something that's occurring with Trump being in as president that's going to change the world. And what I've noticed since he's been in presidency is that it is changing the world. He's not changing the world. He thought it was going to be him, but it's changing the world because everybody has to stand up and be totally present with their choices and go, okay, I've got to like look at my choices and what I'm choosing. So one of the things I would say is ask each day, what can you contribute to this? And not contribute from a definition, not contribute from a point of view. What energy can you contribute to this being something greater? And I just put this, I love this quote from Gary Douglas. I just put it in the chat. If anyone wants to translate it would be amazing, but I will read it now. And he says, Gary said, look for allowance of you as you and no point of view. When you have no point of view, you can be anything. When you can be anything, you can do anything. And when you can do anything, you can have anything. When you can have anything, you can create anything. When you can create anything, you can create a different world. Okay? And you need to read that a few times to really get that as well. So please, if we can send that out if we have I don't know if we have a follow-up email or something like that. Betsy's nodding, so I gather we have something. And if someone can translate that into French would be amazing, because if you really break that down, it's like, you know, once you're willing to be anything, do anything, you can have anything, you can create anything, so you can create a change. Because the more you buy into something like that, you make it significant and you make it mean something. What if none of it meant anything? It's like, so what? You're paying more for petrol. Okay, so what's really going on? What's really required? What energy, space, and consciousness can you be that will contribute to a different possibility? And everything that that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. So let's run that other process again. So what jails, so judgments, agendas, inventions, and lies are you using to create the dominance of E equals MC squared, as the purpose of life is to get it right more than to create a different reality? So how many of you are trying to get it right, being French, rather than actually create a different reality that would actualize as a world of infinite possibilities? Are you choosing? What if you could invite the world to the French elegance? What if you could invite the world to the French possibilities? Wow, that's a different energy. Everything at that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. Because it's interesting. It's like, how many times do you acknowledge your capacities and then go, oh, what would it take to invite the world to this? What if that's what we were asking for? Everything that you had as a capacity, what you grew up with and what you know, what if that was the invitation to the world? Everything that you be. So don't use it as an exclusion, use it as an inclusion. And everywhere that you've excluded rather than included, will you destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. So what else would you guys like to talk about? Don't you love when you do Zoom and you look at your hair and you go, oh no, hang on a second, it's looking a bit messy. What else would you guys like to know? Anyone? Questions? Or have I completely fired you already?
Hey, Simone, can I ask
Thank
another
you.
question? Bonjour, je m'appelle Paul, je parle.
Well done, Paul.
You know, for the 13s, right? So you're changing track. Do you have to choose to change track?
No. So basically, and I just, can you just say 13 again and tree maybe? 30 tree.
I'm getting racist slurs thrown at me here.
It's great. I love it. I'm off to Dublin tomorrow. I'm
33 and a third, 33 and a third, 33 and a third.
It's wonderful. So no, changing tracks when you do a 13 is literally like, if you think about two trains going along on the tracks and then you do 13s, it's literally changing tracks. Now, what I've noticed is if you're doing 13s on something, then you're literally asking to change tracks, which basically at that nanosecond takes away all of the definitions, conclusions, limitations, points of view, everything you have, because you just change tracks. You don't have time to come up with a point of view. So it's not like going, everything will be better and everything will be greater. No, you're changing tracks. So you may actually, like if you're contributing and asking to change tracks on 13, it's like you'll notice when you do 13s, there's this, for me, I've noticed this huge like space with the molecules that occurs. And it's like, so what if you're changing the molecules so that it completely changes and then there's a new reality that occurs? So it's not, you can't be vested in the outcome, and it's not about making something better. It's literally just like you get two trains and it goes boom, boom, and changes. So you have no idea where this is going now. So you can't go, oh, this is change tracks, it's going to have more money show up. Not necessarily. Might be something completely different.
Simone?
Yes.
Hi. Would it be about, would the word disruption, you know, have the energy of what you're meaning? Because the energy that I'm getting is that it would be, for instance, about just creating a new possibility that maybe did not exist the 10 seconds, you know, before. So, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because no matter how much we use the tools, we tend to have a point of view, you know? I'd like to think I didn't have any points of view and I had no limitations and no conclusions and no doubt and no judgment of me. And yet, you know what, I'm doing pretty fucking good. And I still, every now and then, have a point of view, etc. So I've noticed the 13s, whenever I do a 13, it just sort of goes boom, boom. And it's like, oh, okay. And it's like, there's another, you know, there's another possibility that shows up. I mean, I've been doing it with my, I broke my ankle, I don't know, about 9 weeks ago now, I think. And, you know, and whenever like there's pain or anything, I do a 13 on my ankle. And it's like, because it's not having how it should show up. It's just like, okay, I'm willing to change tracks here. What else can show up here? And it's like, you can do 13s with your money flows, do 13s with your business, do 13s with your sex life, do 13s with your relationship, 13s with your body, pain in your body, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So play with it.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. And someone just sent me, probably not a good idea to send me privately if anyone has, because I only just saw this one, but someone just sent me a message saying, she wants to start a new course to create a new life. I have such a back pain that I cannot even get up. What could I ask? So she's saying, is this self-sabotage not to create greater? Well, usually when you create back pain, it's like, ask, what am I hiding behind me? So what capacities do you have that you're not willing to acknowledge, that if you did acknowledge them, could show up as ease, joy, and glory in your body? And everything at that is, wow, that's just more than one person. Everything at that is times a gazillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys and beyond. So keep asking, what potency am I hiding behind me that I'm refusing to acknowledge, that if I did acknowledge it, would change my entire reality? And everything at that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. And thank you, Guy, for translating that. You're wonderful. So what other questions do you guys have here? What else would you like to know? What's up? Thanks, Betsy, for putting that in there. So what else would you like to know, guys? Spoken about choice. You have choices in life. What if you start to have a look at the choices that you have available that nobody else has, or they think they don't have? Like, how many choices do you have that are just sitting right there, that you're like, okay, if I make this choice, then it would change everything. If I make this choice, then something greater would show up. And how many of you are actually willing to keep choosing so that you do create a reality beyond this reality, where people don't even know who the fuck you are? You freak them out because of how happy you are, because of the joy in your world. Would you be willing to have that? Would you be willing to freak everybody out because you were the happy, joyful person who they thought was on drugs, and yet you were just being joyful and happy? And everything that that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. So how many conclusions do you have? How many conclusions have you made that keeps you from choosing every capacity you have from this lifetime and any other lifetime? And everything that that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. And keep asking, what would you like to create as your reality today? What would you like your financial reality to be? What would you like your, business reality to be? What would you like your, relationship, sex, body, all of it, reality to be? Because you get to choose. You have choice. You've always had choice. And everywhere that you've decided that you don't have choice, and every single time you hear yourself say, oh, if I only had choice, it's like, acknowledge, I do have choice. Now what would I like to choose? May not be comfortable, but as I heard a great quote from Brendan from China, he was saying, every time you go to the place of going, oh, well, it's uncomfortable, you're just avoiding choice. So how many of you are avoiding choice so that you will not be uncomfortable? And you know what? Consciousness is not comfortable. It can be incredibly uncomfortable. But can I tell you, it's a friggin' great adventure. And there's so much that can show up. Like if I look at some of the people that I know that, I come from Sydney, Australia, that live in Sydney, Australia, that I went to school with, they're doing the same thing every year. It's slightly different. Each and every single year of my life has these like huge changes, massive changes. And I'm so incredibly grateful for it. So what massive changes can you ask for this year that can show up, that will expand your reality, exponentialize it? And everything at that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. All right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. It's like, how many conclusions do you have that is stopping the miracle that you can truly choose and be? And everything at that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. How does it get any better than this? And don't forget to use the Access Consciousness mantra. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. It's like I use that as much as I can. And it's literally designed to change things. It's literally designed to wake people up, even wake yourself up. So all of life comes to you with ease and joy and glory. And ask, what would I like to create as my reality today? If I was choosing my reality today, what would it be? What would I choose? What would I change? And everything it doesn't allow you to perceive, know, be, and receive it, we destroy and uncreate it, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds, and come out of judgment of you. You're not wrong, and you're also not right. So everywhere that you've made yourself right, everywhere you've made yourself wrong, trying to make yourself right, so that you will always be right because you've made yourself wrong and you've decided that that is right. And everything at that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And there's way too many of you laughing, so I know you got it. And what if you were willing to have your own point of view, no matter how different it was? Would you be willing to have that? Cool. Everything it doesn't matter, let's show up, destroy and uncreate it, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Okay, so do you guys have any more questions before we call it a night?
Veronique was asking how to do a 13 when you have less money.
How to do a 13 when you have less money. So you wouldn't really do it on, like, just do it on your money. Just do it on your currency flows and your money. So right now it's like, let's do a 13, but you cannot be vested in the outcome. This is not about going, yay, now I'm going to get more money. It's like you're literally changing tracks, so if we do a 13 on our money flows, on our currency flows, and everything we've calibrated our financial reality as, let's do a 13. So that you allow something different to show up. That's it, different. Could be anything, okay? So 13, right? So on your financial reality, on 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13. Big up, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13. Okay, cool. That's it. But you've got to be willing for anything to show up too. Cool. Well, do you guys have any other questions? Because if not, I think we might say au revoir. See, there's another French word I know. Cool.
You're almost as fluent as me, Simone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Paul, you and I could just like tour around France and just be like, ooh, blah, 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 blah.
The little sports car. Sounds like fun.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, I'm very, very grateful for you guys all coming on, and thank you for the translation. And I look forward to seeing many of you somewhere around the world. As I know Emily mentioned before, I've got a COP in Lyon coming up, and then one in Mauritius. So, hey, it's beautiful. It's beautiful in both places. Like, how did I get so lucky? It's like Lyon, Mauritius, and New Caledonia are the French places that I'm going to this year. It's
And you
so
also have your Getting Out of Debt Joyfully call coming up in French too, which they can join monthly from anywhere.
I do have that. And it's like, and I heard you say you don't have to have a money problem to come on, but most people would like to make more money and increase their money flow. So, you know what, it's been fantastic the last 2 years. There's been some amazing, you know, possibilities show up. So if that's of interest to you, please come on. So cool. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. I adore you all.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Okay, au revoir.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.